variable length arguments are parameters. So function with variable length arguments receive 0 or more values. And variable length argument is prefixed with what here? Star. And variable length argument is a type of tuple which hold more than one value. This is 30 class notes, right? So this is 30th class notes, not empty boxes. So variable length arguments. Function with variable length arguments take and variable length argument is prefixed with star. And variable length argument is a type of tuple which hold 0 or more values. A function can have only one variable length argument. So this is what I said. It's a one argument which receives number of values. It receives either one value or more than one value. So it receives no values. It receives one value. It receives two values, right? So if a function required to receive more than one value to perform similar type operations. So a function required more than one value. Okay, function required a function required more than one value to perform operation. So similar operation or same operation. Okay, so then we write or we use function with variable length arguments. I said variable length arguments are tuple. I said variable length argument is what here? Tuple. And the tuple receives either one value or more than one value. Suppose, assume that assume that now there is a function called add. Okay, assume that there is a function called which one? Add. So add is a function. So there is a function called add. So add is the name of the function. And this function receives. Okay, add is a function. And I want this function should add either one value or more than one value. So I just write here star v. I mean, any argument which is prefixed with star is called as which argument? Variable length argument. Any argument which is prefixed with the star is called as which argument here? Variable length argument. So this is called as which argument here? Variable length argument. Okay. So it means I can use this function to add either one value or more than one value. I can use this function to add either one value or more than one value. Okay, one value or more than one value. Okay. So what is the meaning of this is? So I read each time one value. Okay, assume that this is a result, which is called as sum. And each time I'll read one value from tuple and perform the operation. And after adding all the values, I'm returning what here sum. So what will happen if I call this function? Assume that I want to add two numbers. Okay. Assume that I want to add two numbers. I'm saying result 1 equal to add. Okay, I'm sending how many values here? Two values. I'm sending how many values here? Two values. But the function is having how many arguments? Only one. I'm sending how many values to this function here? Two values. But the function is having how many uh, I'm sending two values, but function is having how many arguments? Only one. So it means these two values are received by it means these two values are received by, okay, the 10 is received by V and 20 is also received by which one? V. So it means this both the values are received by which argument? Variable length argument. Now this is a V and V is holding which one here? List. V is a tuple. V is a tuple and having how many values here? Two values. So what you are doing, you are trying to declare one variable sum and the value of sum is what here? 0. So every time you are reading one value and sum equal to sum plus value, that is 0 plus 10 is a 10 and next value is a 20 and 10 plus 20 is what here? 30. So after that, that value you are returning. So return means assign. So this value is assigned to one variable. And what is that variable here? Result 1. That variable is what here? Result 1. Okay. So just try to understand. Now I can call even this function by sending any number of values. I'm saying 100 comma 200 comma 300 comma 400 comma 500. But your function is having how many arguments here? Only one. Your function is having how many arguments here? Only one. But you're sending how many values here? Five values. What is it? These five values are received by this argument or not? Yes. Your function is having only one argument, but you're trying to input how many values here? Five values. So these five values are received by one argument. So then I try to print I try to print this both the results format. Result one is I try to print result one. Then I try to say format. I'll try to print result two is result two, right? So then I call the function main. So I try to include all the statements inside which function here? Main function. So your main is not a predefined. Main is what here? User defined function. So once you run this, you can see the result is 30 and result 2 is what here? 15. But this is only one argument, receive number of values. This is one argument, receive number of values. It's only one argument and that receives number of values. So that is called as function with variable length argument. Yes. Okay, right? So if you want to use the values further, you are trying to return it. So printing is different than returning, right? So if you want the result of this function should be used here. Whatever result you want to use here, then you have to return it. Suppose if it is printed here, is it that value can be used further here? No. So result of this function, if I want to use here, the result of this function you are returning to which function? Calling function by using a statement called which one? Return. Okay. For example, there is a function. There is a function called which one here? Maximum. So I want to write a function maximum that should receive any number of values. Then again I write star v. See, this argument name can be anything. Don't think that you have to give only v. So this argument name can be anything. I'm writing star v. So what we are trying to do is initially, okay, maximum, right? So I want to find the maximum of number of values. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to say for I in range of the length of this tuple. Okay, length of this tuple and maximum. So initially maximum is 0. So what you're trying to do is you are taking the first value as a maximum value. If I equal to 0, maximum equal to v of 0. So v is nothing but tuple. V is nothing but tuple, and initially maximum I'm returning none. So else if so this maximum is okay, the value which is there inside tuple is greater than maximum, then maximum equal to the value which is there in the tuple is greater than maximum, then maximum equal to the value which is there in the tuple. So return which value? Maximum value. Now this is a function main. So I'm trying to find the maximum of two numbers. So what will happen in this case is it will try to call the function by sending how many values here? Two values. So here v is a tuple, and this tuple is having how many values here? Two values. One is 10, and there is one more value called which one? 20. So this tuple is having how many values? Two values. The first value is 10 and second value is a 20. Now, there is an index. Means you are trying to read the values using index. This is 0 and this is 1. The index is started with what here? 0. So if I is 0, then maximum equal to which one? V of 0. So what is the value of maximum here? 10. Okay, what is the value of maximum here? 10. So 10 is a maximum. Next, it will read the next value, which is next I will becomes 1. So is it I is 0? No. Then comes to else, and it will verify V of 1 is greater than maximum. So V of 1 is nothing but 20. 20 is greater than 10. Yes. So then what is the maximum now? 20. Okay. So is it any values? I mean, index is there? No. Then it will return maximum. So what is the maximum here? 20. So I equal to 0 means first you are taking first value as a maximum, and then you are comparing with other values. You are comparing with what? Other values. For that, you are writing I equal to what here? 0. Okay. So that is a maximum logic, right? So whatever we did previously, we are doing the same thing, right? Now 10, 50, and 30, 20, and some 5. So there is a maximum maximum one result. So I just write here result one and print format. Okay, print format maximum two result, and this is maximum two result. So then I call the function which one? Main. Now once you run this maximum result 2, okay, now you can see maximum one result is 20. Maximum one result is 20 and maximum two result is what here? 50. Maximum one result is 20 and maximum two result is what? 30 or 50 something, right? But this is called as variable length arguments. But a function can have how many variable length arguments? Only one. You cannot have multiple variable length arguments. You cannot have multiple variable length arguments. So what is the meaning of this is, for example, I'm writing function 1 with a star a comma star b. So I try to print the values of a. I try to print the values of which one? B. So what will happen if I call the function 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50? So all these values are received by, all these five values are received by same argument or not? Yes. Then is it this B will receive any values? No. Because variable length argument receive how many values? Any number of values. So first one is variable length and second one is also what? Variable length. So whatever values I'm sending, all these values are received by which argument? First argument. Whatever values I'm sending, all these values are received by which argument? First argument. What is that here? A. But is it any point of writing B here? No. So there's no point of writing which one here? B. What will happen if I run this? Okay. It will try to generate. Okay. If I'm trying to run this, it will try to generate error. So what is the error here? Invalid syntax. Because a function cannot have multiple variable length arguments. A function cannot have multiple variable length arguments. If you are trying to write multiple variable length arguments, it will generate what? Error. Multiple variable length arguments, then it generates a error. But the order of defining variable length arguments, even how you define the variable length arguments. For example, the order of defining is first required argument, second variable length argument, and third default argument. Defining first required argument. Required argument. First is required positional argument. Second is variable length arguments, and third is default arguments. Okay, first required argument, variable length argument, and default argument or optional argument. This is the syntax here. A, B, and what is that? C. Different ways. I can call by sending one because the value of A is required. The value of A is what here? Required, because A is which argument? Required argument. Okay, but B and C, B is a tuple which is empty. So are you given any values to the B? No. Are you given any value to the C? No. You are not given any values to the B. You are not given any values to what here? C. So B is an empty tuple and C is nothing but none here. Okay, B is an empty tuple and C is a none. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So B is an empty tuple and C is what here? None. So this 10 is received by which one here? A. If I'm writing F1 equal to some 100 comma 200 comma 300. So what is the value of A here? The value of A is what here? 100. So the value of A is given as 100. Then what is the value of B here? 200 and 300. What is the value of B? 200 and 300. But are you given value to the C here? No, not given the values for C. Now you can see A value is 100 and B value is what? 200 and 300 and C is what? None. Now if you want to give the values for C, now you can write suppose A value is 11, B value is 22, C value is B value is 33 and B value is 44 and C value is what here? 55. Then you have to give this with the argument name. You have to give this with what name? Argument name. So once you run this, the value of A is 11, the value of B is 22, 33, 44, and the value of C is what here? 55. Can I give the values only to A? Suppose I want to give the value to only A and C. So in this case, you are given values is at C, but B is empty tuple. So in this case, B is which one here? Empty tuple. So it means the order of writing this is first required. First you have to write which arguments, required arguments. And second, you have to write which arguments, variable length, variable length. And third, you have to write which arguments, default argument. This is the order of writing the arguments. Suppose if you change the order, so example of define so defining order. So this is how you define the order of the arguments. So that is required arguments, variable length arguments, and then next one is default arguments. Okay, so that is how you write function with the different types of arguments. So if you see the output of this, so the output is like this. So 10 and this is empty tuple and none, 100, 200 and 300 and none. So 11, 22, 33, 44 and 55 and 1 and there is a tuple and 2. 1 there is a tuple and there's one more value called which one? 2. Okay. Now this is the function with which arguments here? Variable length arguments. But you can also have the function with one more type of arguments that is called as keyword arguments. So function with keyword arguments. Okay, receives what your key and what is that? Values. Function with keyword arguments receives key and values. Key and value. Key and value. Receives key and value. So generally keyword arguments are used to manipulate which one? Dictionaries. Actually keyword arguments are used to manipulate what? Dictionaries. Because dictionary contain what? Key and values. Dictionaries are collections collections which contain pair of which one values. Like if you are working with JSON, if you are working with dictionaries, it contain the pair of values. What it contain? Pair of values. So function with keyword arguments receives key and value. Keyword arguments are used to manipulate what you are trying to manipulate here, dictionaries or collections which contain pair of values. Any collection which contain the pair of values. Now in this case, okay, function is having keyword argument, keyword or function with keyword argument receives. Function with keyword argument receives, okay, receives key as a string, and value can be key as which type? String, and value can be of any type. Okay. So function with keyword argument receives key as a string. Function with keyword argument receives key as a string, and value can be of any type. Function with the keyword argument receives key as a string, and value can be of any type. Function with keyword argument receives key as a string, and value can be of any type. Value can be of any type. So that is what we mean by keyword argument. Okay. And keyword argument is prefixed with keyword argument is prefixed with double star. Okay, single star is what? Variable length. Double star is what here? Keyword. So generally double star is used for unpacking dictionaries. Packing and unpacking dictionary is done using double star. Packing and unpacking list or sequences is done using star. So double star. Keyword argument is prefixed with what here? Double star. Okay. So a function can have only one keyword argument. Like a function can have only one variable length argument. In the same way, a function can have how many keyword arguments? Only one. So you are trying to write like this definition. So name of the function, which function you want to write it, and then start star what name here? Argument name, and include number of statements. So there is a statement 1, statement 2, like this. You try to include number of statements. So definition, function name, and star and argument name, you are trying to include number of statements. So there is a statement 1 and there is what? Statement 2, like that. So you can include more than one statement. Okay. So what you are writing here? Star argument name. Okay. Yes. So any argument which is prefixed with star is called a variable length argument. If I'm writing star a, this is called as which argument? Keyword argument. If function is having this signature or definition, to this function I should send what? Key and values. To this function I can send key and values. If it is having only star a, I have to send only values. How many values? Any number of values. If it is only one, then I can send only one value. If I am writing star a, I can send more than one value. If I am writing star a, I need to send as a key and values. So if you want, you can print this a, and you can able to print what is the type of a is. What is a and the type of a. So here I'm trying to call the function 1 by sending the key. Assume that some k1 is a key and 10 is what? Value. K2 is a key and 20 is what here? Value. So here K1, K2 acts as a variables, or K1, K2 acts as what here? Keys. But how it will store these keys? As a strings. How it will store the keys? As a strings. You can see So K1 is a key and 10 is what here? Value. K2 is a key and 20 is what here? Value. But this is inside what here? Curly braces. Whatever it is there in the curly braces, whatever it is there in the curly braces, it is called as what? Dictionary. Whatever it is there in the curly braces, and it is called as what? Dictionary. So K1 is a key and 10 is a value, and K2 is a key and 20 is what here? Value. So that is key and values. You can send anything. Suppose function 1, so with roll number is a key and 1 is a value. Name is a key and nourish is a value, and course is a key and Python is what here? Value. So key, there is a key, or roll number is a key and 1 is a value. Name is a key, nourish is a value, course is a key and Python is a value. So it should be as a key and values. Okay. Now I can call this function 1 without sending any values also. If I'm not sending any values, then is it A is a dictionary and this is dictionary is what now? Empty. Because are you send anything to this dictionary? No. Are you send any values to this function? No. If you don't send anything, then what is A is having? Empty. This dictionary is what here? Empty. Dictionary is a empty. If you run this, is it this dictionary is empty dictionary or not? Yes. Okay, this dictionary is empty. This dictionary doesn't have anything. This dictionary doesn't have anything, right? So it is called as empty dictionary. It is a empty dictionary. So giving values to the keyword argument C is optional. Okay, sending values to the keyword arguments is optional here. Giving values to the keyword arguments is optional. It is not compulsory, right? Giving values to the keyword arguments is not compulsory. It is optional. Okay, if you don't give any values to the keyword arguments, if you don't give values to the keyword arguments, if you don't give values to the keyword arguments, is it generates any error here? No, it will not generate any error. So whenever you want to manipulate a dictionary which contain the key and values, then you go for keyword arguments. For example, display. Assume that display sales. Display sales. So keyword arguments. So this argument name can be anything, right? So don't think that you have to give KW, or GS only, but you can give anything. But argument must be meaningful or not. Yes. So I just write here star star KWARGS, which is called as keyword arguments. Keyword arguments. Now what I have to do here is I have to read the key. So key is nothing but name of the person and value is nothing but sales. In keyword arguments is which type? Dictionary. How can you read the key and values from dictionary? By using which one? Items. So what item will do? It will return one tuple. So the tuple contain key and value, and that key is assigned to name and value is assigned to what? Sales. So keyword arguments dot items. Items will return list of items, and each item is one tuple. And that tuple contain the name as a key and sales as what? Value. The tuple contain the name as a key and sales as a value. Then I'm trying to print a name, comma, what is that? Sales. So assume that this is now sales dictionary. So what sales dictionary contain? Name of the person, Okay, name of the person and next is what year sales. Okay, name of the person and next is what year sales. So name of the person and next is what year sales. Okay, name of the person. Okay, name of the person and next is what year sales. Next is name of the person, name of the person and next is what year sales. So then how can I send this dictionary? I cannot send dictionary directly, right? I cannot say display sales. I cannot say display sales by giving sales dictionary. You cannot send the dictionary. Okay. But you have to send the key and values. You cannot send the dictionaries, but you should send the dictionaries, key and values. If I send a dictionary, it will give the error. If I send the dictionary, it is given what error. What is that error here? Type error. So display sales takes zero positional arguments, but given how many here? One. So what I have to do, I should not send the dictionary, but from dictionary, I have to send a key and value. So what I have to do, I have to unpack. What I have to do is I have to unpack the dictionary items. How can you unpack the dictionary items? By using double star. So what will happen in this case if I'm writing display sales? Star star sales dictionary means it will try to unpack. It will unpack the sales dictionary, means it will read a key and value, send it to display sales. It will read the key and value and send it to display sales. It will read key and value and send it to display sales. And read the key and value and send it to what here? Display sales. Now in this case, star star is used. Star star is used to unpack. Unpack which one? Dictionary items. Okay, star star in this case is used to unpack, to read or unpack dictionary items. So it will not send the dictionary, but rather than send the key and value, it will not send the dictionary, but it send rather than it send key and value, rather than it sends key and value, it sends a key and value. Now, key is a narration, values of 50,000, and key is a suration, values 60,000, and key and this is value, and this is a key, and this is value, and this is a key, and this is what here? Value. So you have to unpack, but you cannot send a directly dictionary. But display sales will receive what? Key and values which are there inside the dictionary. So inside the dictionary means I have to send the key and values only. Then how can I send the key and values of the dictionary? By unpacking it, and that is done by using which one? Star star. So that is done by using star and star, right? So it is used to manipulate. So keyword arguments are used to manipulate the elements of which one here? Dictionary. And not only that, if you want to send a pair of values, that is key and value, then you can go for keyword arguments. Keyword arguments. Okay, then you can go for keyword arguments. For example, okay, filter students. So there is a filter students which receive keyword arguments. So this name can be anything, right? Filter students keyword arguments, comma. I'm trying to say here grade. Keyword arguments, comma. What is that? Grade. Now you are trying to filter it based on which one? Grade. So what this is having is name, comma grade. So name, comma grade. So here I'll just write some grade. So G is nothing but grade. So keyword arguments in keyword arguments dot items. If grade of the student equal to input grade, you're trying to print the name. You're trying to print what? Name of the student. you're trying to print the name of the student, and you're also printing which one? Grade. You're printing the name of the student, and you're also printing which one here? Grade. Suppose there is a student's, okay, student's dictionary is there. Now what this student's dictionary is having? Name of the student. So name of the student and grade of the student. So name of the student and grade of the student. So name of the student and what is that? Grade of the student. So name of the student and then grade. So name of the student and one more is what here? Grade. So name of the student and one more is a grade here again. So name of the student and next one is what here? Grade. Like this. This is called as which dictionary here? Student dictionary. This is called as which dictionary here? Student dictionary. Student dictionary. This is called as student dictionary. Okay, now I want to filter the students. What I want is, I want to, so what I want is, I want to filter the students. So I'm saying filter students. And I'm trying to send what I'm sending here, students dictionary. And at the same time, I try to give the value of grade. So I want to filter A grade students. I want to filter which students here, A grade students. So I send the dictionary elements and I want to filter which grade students, A grade. So every time you're reading name and grade, if the grade is equal to which one? G. G is nothing but here E. So then it will display that name and grade. It will display that name and sorry. So order is first you have to give which argument? First you have to give which argument? Required argument. First you have to give which argument? Required argument. And then you have to give which argument? Keyword argument. So how many students are with the A grade here? 2 students, Naresh and one more is a Rajesh. Then I want to filter, okay, filter students. I want to filter B grade students. So star students dictionary. Now this will filter B grade students. I want to filter some D grade students. So I'll try to say filter students. And I want to filter some D grade students. Star. Okay, students dictionary. Now this will filter which student here? D grade student. So this is A grade students and this is B grade students and this is what? D grade students. So that is filtering, right? So this is called as a student dictionary which contain the key and values. So key is nothing but name and value is nothing but grade. But you are trying to call the function by sending grade first and then the items of which one? Student dictionary. But you cannot send the dictionary directly. You cannot send the dictionary because keyword arguments what it required key and values. You cannot send the dictionary directly. Why? Because keyword arguments required what? Key and values. So you are trying to unpack. So you are trying to unpack the dictionary items. You are trying to unpack the dictionary items and you will be sending that with key and values. So this is how you write a function with the keyword arguments. This is how you write a function with the keyword arguments. This is how you write a function with the keyword arguments. But a function can have how many keyword arguments? Only one, but it cannot write more than one. So the order of defining arguments is whenever you write a function, first you have to write required arguments, and second one you have to write variable length arguments, and third one you have to write which one? Keyword arguments, and last one you have to write which arguments? Default argument. So what is the order of defining these arguments? Required arguments. First one is, second one is what? Variable length arguments. And third one is which one? Keyword arguments. And fourth one is which one? Default arguments. Okay. So this is order A and star V. So V and keyword arguments. And the next one is which one here? D. So there is a function main here, and I call the function 1 by sending only one value. So one value means that is a required argument or not? Yes. The value for A is required. The value for A is what here? Required. What is the value of A here? 10. The value of A is required. Now once you run this, oh, so default, oh, this is the last one actually. So it is like this actually. So this is a 10. Okay. So first one is which one? Required arguments, variable length arguments, default arguments, and last one is what? Keyword arguments. Keyword argument. This is the order. This is the order in which you have to define it. Then I can call this function in different ways, right? I can send value for A. I'm sending value for V. Now V is received how many values? 4 values. So this 200, 200, 300, 400 is received by which one? V. So V is received how many values? 4 values. I can say 100, 200, comma 300, comma 400. I'm writing x equal to 1000 and y equal to what? 2000. But here x and y values are received by which one? Keyword arguments. X and y is received by which argument? Keyword argument. And what is the last one here? None. So if you want to give the values to this also, 100, comma 200, comma 300, x equal to 1000 and y equal to 2000, x equal to 1000 and y equal to 2000. And if I want to give the value for d and d equal to 1, so d equal to 1, so d. So I write d equal to 1. So what is the value of d here? 1. The value of d is what here? 1. So this is the order in which you write a function with different types of arguments. First, you have to write required arguments. If you want to write multiple, if you are writing with multiple types of arguments, this is the order. Example of defining argument order. Example of defining argument order. Example of defining argument order. Now this is the order in which you have to define the arguments. So this is the order in which you have to define the arguments, right? So 10, empty tuple, empty dictionary, and none. So here the order is first is which one? Required arguments. And second is which one here? Variable length. So variable length. And third is which one here? Default. And fourth is which one here? Keyword arguments. So required arguments, variable length, default and keyword arguments. So this is how you write in Python with the different types of arguments. So you can write a function, means a function not only receive values, a function required input. Generally, what function will perform operation? So function takes what here input. Function takes input. Function takes input and perform operation and return which one? Output. Whenever you are writing a function, you have to remember these things. One is input, and second one is which one? Operation, and third one is which one? Output. If you want to give the input, you write the function with which one? Arguments. If you want the output, you try to use which statement? Return. If you want the input, you write the function with the arguments. And if you want the output, then you try to return it by using which statement here? Return statement. So input is in the form of arguments and the output is in the form of which statement? Return statement. Input is in the form of arguments and the output is in the form of which statement? Return statement. Output is in the form of return statements. So that is required arguments, variable length arguments, default or optional arguments, and keyword arguments. All these are function with the different types of arguments. All these are function with the different types of arguments. Then let us talk about so you try to declare different types of variables. Okay. So let us talk about what is a local variable. But even though we declare variables, but you should know which one is a local and which one is a global, like that. Okay, which one is a local, which one is a global. Now you should have some idea about that. You must have some idea about that, like local variables, global variables, like that. Okay. So here, what is a local variable? So generally variables hold a data, and what is local variable is a variable declared. So a variable declared inside function is called a local variable. What is local variable is a variable declared inside function. A variable declared inside function is called which variable here? Local variable. A variable declared inside function is called a local variable. The scope of this variable, the scope of this variable, the scope of this variable within function, the scope of this variable within function and lifetime of this variable, until execution of function. Okay. So every variable is having boundary. Okay, boundary is nothing but what here? Scope. Every variable is having boundary. That boundary is called as a scope. And it is also having which one here? Lifetime. So until what extent this variable is available in the memory. So that is called as which one? Lifetime. So scope is nothing but boundary and lifetime is until what extent it is available in the memory. So a variable declared inside function is called which variable? Local variable. So these variables, memory is allocated, this variables memory is allocated, this variables memory is allocated on execution of function, on execution of function and deallocated, deallocated after execution of function, deallocated automatically after execution of function. So memory is allocated when function is called and deallocated automatically after execution of what? Function. Allocation is done when the function is called and deallocation is done after execution of function. So a variable declared inside function is called a local variable, and the scope of this variable within function and lifetime of this variable until execution of function. So this variable's memory is allocated on execution of function and deallocated automatically after execution of what? Function. So local variables. So whatever variables you declare inside a function, we declare, right? For example, function arguments are called local variables. Function arguments are called which variables? Local. Now s equal to 0 is called which variable? Local variable. Values which variable? Local variable. V is which variable? Local variable. So whatever variables you write inside a function, I write a function 1 and inside the function I'll write x equal to 100. And this variable is called which variable here? Local variable. And instead y equal to 200. This y is called which variable? Local variable. So can I use this x and y which is there in function 1 in function 2? No. Can I write here print x and print y? No. Because where is x and y? This x and y variables are there in which function? Function 1. But can I use this x and y of function 1 in function 2? No. Because these variables are which variables? Local variables. I cannot use x and y variables of function 1 inside what here? Function 2, because here x and y are called as which variables? Local variables. Suppose if I'm trying to run this functions here, I call the function 1 and function 2. Now it will try to generate, if I'm trying to execute, it will try to generate what? Error. So you can see the error is name error. X is not defined, but X is not defined in which function? Function 2. X is name, X is not defined, and X is not defined in which function? Function 2. So that is called as which error here? Name error. Okay, in function 2, there is no name called which one here? X. Name error. Name X is not defined. Name error. Name X is not defined. That is called as which error here? Name error. That is called as which error? Name error. So name X is not defined. Name X is not defined. But where is the X is there in function 1? But can I use in function 2? No. So local variables, local variables are local to one function, and these are not accessible where outside the function. Okay, now in this case, is it generated error or not? Yes, it is generated error. Output is error here. What is the output of this here? Error. Output is error. So this is the error which is given, saying that name error and name X is not defined. It is given which error? Name error. Name X is not defined. X is not there. X is not defined, or X is not there. X is not defined, or X is not there. But it is there. where it is there inside function 1, but you cannot use in what? Function 2. It is there inside function 1, but you cannot use inside function 2. X is there inside function 1, but you cannot use inside what? Function 2. You cannot use it. You cannot use it because it is which variable? Local. So I said local variables memory is allocated. Okay, local variables memory is allocated when function is called. Suppose I write a function 1 and here I'll write x equal to 100 and y equal to 200 and print x value and what? Y value. So here, when the memory for local variables are allocated, when function is called, when memory for local variables are allocated, now my execution of function starts from where here? Main. And this main function calls which function here? Function 1. And within function 1, okay, there is a memory. There is a memory allocated for which one here? Function 1. There is a memory allocated for which function? Function 1, where it will create how many variables? So this function 1 is having how many variables? 2 variables. So there is a memory reserved for which one here? X. And there is a memory reserved for which one here? Y. Okay, there is a memory reserved for X and there is a memory reserved for Y. And then printed which value here? X and Y value. What is the value of X here? 100. What is the value of Y here? 200. But where is this X and Y variables? Inside function 1. I can use this X and Y variables only inside function 1, but I cannot use outside. Is it execution of function 1 is completed? Yes. Execution of function 1 is completed. Once the execution is completed, this memory is deleted or not? Yes. So what is the lifetime? What is the lifetime of this local variables? The lifetime of local variables until execution of functions. Lifetime of local variables until execution of function. Once the execution of function is completed, lifetime of local variables until execution of function. Once the execution is completed, is it memory is deallocated or not? Yes. Memory is what? Deallocated until execution of function. And once the execution of function is completed, so whatever memory is reserved, that memory is what here? Unreserved. Okay. Yes. Just try to understand. So when it is reserved and when it is unreserved, right? So if you run this code, now you can see the value of x is 100 and the value of y is what? 200. So even function arguments are which variables? Local variables. Even function arguments also called which variables? Local variables. So function arguments are called local variables. Even function arguments also called which variables? Local variables. And these variables are used inside same function, but cannot accessible outside the function. These variables are used inside same function, but cannot accessible where? Outside the function. Inside the same function, but cannot accessible where? Outside the function. Yes. So anyway, tomorrow we'll see like local variables, and you also have which variables? Global variables. So there is a local variables and global variables, and then we'll see other type of functions, right? So today we'll stop it here, and tomorrow we'll continue this. Right? Okay. So tomorrow onwards we'll start on the time. Like I'll start by 7:10, 7:10 or 7 maximum, 7:10 or 7:15 I'll start it, because one class was there that is finished. So I'll try to start by time tomorrow onwards, right? So 7:10 or like that we'll start the class. Okay.